Anthony, how's the weather out in Miami?
Oh, we discussed that. It's right now 78 degrees.
We feel so bad for you.
You know, I'm in San Diego and it was 38 when I got up.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's cold at night.
I didn't know it got that cold here.
in San Diego?
Yeah,
Gosh.
yeah. And then unfortunately, Maria, it's like 37 in Las Vegas right now.
I know, I keep track. Well, that's what happens in the desert. It's very warm during the day and it gets cool at night. I'm just looking forward to some zero humidity. That's what I'm looking forward to.
All right. So I'm not usually on this early, so I don't know if people usually come on right at 9. So we'll give it another, I mean, 9:30. We'll give it another minute or two.
Oh, sure. Definitely.
Usually a little later. Well,
So Bruce, what the heck's going on with the rates with this crazy market yesterday? Did you have like 9 reprices?
you know, we didn't. And it's a really good question. I think the reason we didn't was because the stock market recovered so quickly. You know, it was down 800, then it was only down, not single digits, but double digits. But it also, I will say this: when the rates went from, high twos, let's call it 3 to 4, over that 2-month period, first, 45, 50 days of the year. I think it really built in a lot of the concerns. I mean, there's so much built in there now. There's already, the Fed's going to do all these rate hikes. There's already, there's all projections. So it's in there already. Obviously, if anything, this could maybe derail that and have rates get a little bit better. But the outlook is still that it's going to probably, we dropped a little bit yesterday, but nothing dramatic or anything. No. I mean, obviously, there's bigger things. You hope people don't. You hope this can be resolved without people dying. You hate that something so tragic has to happen for the rates to get better. That's silly.
Yep. So most of the hikes are pretty much baked in your opinion, Bruce, or not even?
Yeah, and what's funny yesterday, what I noticed was the reason the bonds were doing better, or rather the reason mortgage rates are doing better, was because a lot of the liquidity out there went into the bond market. But I don't think that was really people so much pulling out of the stock market. I think the liquidity was there. The people sitting on the sidelines, all the institutions looking to put in the stock market, they said, screw this, let me go into the bonds. And I think that's why the rates moved a little bit, because there was a lot of activity, but it wasn't money that was pulled from stocks. So yeah, I think it's baked in, but I think, obviously it's a little too, it's only one day, but we've seen a slight improvement. But and by the way, when the Fed isn't stimulating rates, we all know, and if we don't know, any negative economic news is better for rates. Any positive economic news is not good for rates. So this is obviously negative in nature. So, if it continues, it shouldn't hurt rates at all. If anything, it might help them.
So Anthony, do you have a lot of people buying like second homes for Airbnb in Miami?
There's a lot of restrictions to it, so not as many.
When you say
in the Keys, yes. The Florida Keys, yes.
When you say a lot of restrictions, you mean for like in communities?
The hotel lobby here in Miami is pretty strong, and they've been able to keep a lot of Airbnb out.
Wow. And how do they do that? By like local restrictions?
Yeah. So if for example, if you live in a community that has gate and you have a HOA and the HOA says it's okay, then you're able to do it.
Gotcha. All right. So we're approaching 50 on here, and sometimes they have offices on the Zoom meeting here. So I don't know if we want to get started now. I'm going to introduce our guest here, Anthony Askowitz, who is a long-term RE/MAX person running an extremely successful team, and somebody who I've always looked up to and admired in this industry, and honored to have him on here to talk about how he uses the RE/MAX brand in promoting the high-end market. Over 45 sales, over $1 million in the past year. And I want to just turn it over to you, Anthony. These are my people here coming on, and hopefully they can ask you some questions at the end, and we'd have a really interactive session. We have a lot of fun on these.
Yeah, absolutely. And good morning. I think the key to this session is you have me to ask me any questions you want, anything. I'm going to be an open book. I'll tell you exactly what I do, how I do it. Every step I've taken to get there, it could be as far ranging as Rob said about listing appointments, or what I do with buyers. Anything you guys want to ask, I'm happy to answer it. So hopefully you'll get a pearl or two that you can implement in your own business. So I think there was the opening question that Rob mentioned about how I use Remax and how I use it on a listing appointment. So I go into it with the mentality that the consumer has a choice. They could buy a Rolex or they could buy a Timex. So they both tell time, but one obviously has a lot more to it. And that's really how I see Remax. And when I go on a listing appointment, that is my mentality, and that's what I want to convey to that consumer. I mean, they can have X, Y, and Z, or they can have a Remax agent, which they've seen the signs, they've seen the commercials, they've seen the billboards. And certainly if that consumer has ever traveled anywhere in the world, I mean, Remax is number one everywhere. So I would say to the consumer, I would say, Mr. Mrs. And remember, this is Miami, so it works really well in Miami. I'll say to them, where do you think your buyer is located right now? I mean, I think their buyers around the corner, but they think it's international. And that's really the answer I want them to say to me. I think they're in South America or Europe. And then I talk to them how Remax is everywhere, and how we're in close to 120 countries throughout the world. So it's a name that they know. And it also comes down to comfort level. I'll say to the seller, you know, when someone wants to put a $50,000, $100,000 deposit into our escrow account, they never have a problem putting it into a Remax escrow account because they trust it. So people are, once they see that balloon, they feel comfortable that it's legitimate. And by me putting my sign on that property, the seller feels that, or I give legitimacy to that house itself. I think that too, for the seller, is understanding that we've surrounded ourselves with really top producing agents, that you guys are really working with the best of the best. And I think the mentality we go to also, if you're playing volleyball, let's do it. Yeah, volleyball, sure. With my daughters who don't like to go outside, you're going to play at a certain level. But if you play volleyball with the U.S. Olympic team, and that is what you guys are, it's just a higher level. And I think that is something you need to convey to your seller, is that the experience, the knowledge, and everything that you bring to the table. And then, of course, I do, you know, part of my listing packet is something like this, which shows basically all the countries. This is part of my listing packet that we're basically everywhere. And I think it goes a long way.
Do you have a pre-listing packet that you use?
I do. It just depends on how much time I have. So part of that pre-listing packet is part of my listing packet that I would pull out some of the pages and pre-send it or have it delivered and dropped off. I also have videos that I also send prior to arrival.
Now,
So that could also be turned around and sent. So if you guys work a certain area, you should develop a video specific to that neighborhood. And if you go on a listing appointment in that neighborhood, you should send the video prior to arrival.
Anthony, do you use the collections platform? So obviously that comes into play. And that's a little bit different than, you know, our normal residential, if you want to say normal. However, there's a lot of confusion as to what qualifies a luxury home, because with the other companies, you know who they are. You have to be certified. It has to be a certain amount of money or whatever, but it's different with collections. Can you explain that to us?
So every area has a threshold that every city and every area has a threshold as to what they consider their minimum amount to get into the luxury category for Remax itself. But I think I obviously I don't know what it is for you guys. And just depending on where it is here. Now, there is a luxury designation, and the luxury designation in Miami is $625,000, which is ridiculous. But for Remax, I think it's closer to $1 million gets it in. And then, yes, you know, with Remax itself, if you do have a luxury and if you have the designation, I think it goes in automatically. And I think even if you just list something for $1.5 million, it does go in, but sometimes you may want to follow up and make sure that it is there. There's a new representative for the RE/MAX collection itself. So I haven't spoken to her, but I know she's around.
Okay.
But every area has its own threshold.
Fantastic.
And who has these numbers as far as the threshold? RE/MAX?
I would assume so. I actually don't know, but yeah, it's probably a place to go.
Okay.
3 times of what the highest points is at. So if it's $1.5 million, it's 3 times that.
So if your average price is 500,000, it's $1.5 million.
Okay.
Okay, but I think Miami's
Correct.
still $1 million gets you in.
So,
$1 million change,
so
depending on what.
So Anthony, you have a lot of competition in Miami. All the major players go there. I'm sure you have the Compasses, the Sotheby's, the Christies. Do you get clients that come to you and say, you know, hey, this is a $3 million property. Wouldn't I be better off going with Sotheby's? Do you hear that explicitly, or do you get a sense that that's in the, you know, in their mind when they're talking to you? And how do you address like that, you know, luxury only brand compared to RE/MAX, which is a universal brand?
I think combination. I think you have to sell yourself and have confidence in yourself that you can sell and sell anything. I think if you go in there and understand that it's as if it's a 500,000 or 300,000, you go in there and obviously you have to sell yourself and the value that you bring to it. So yeah, I compete all the time. It doesn't matter what it is, but I feel that I win probably about 80 some odd %. I mean, it's hard to beat a referral if they were referred in, but or a family member. But for the most part, I think that there's no listing appointment that I can't win at. And overcoming objections is a key to any listing appointment itself. So to your question, Rob, a little bit, I think that you have to know what you offer and your value and what you're going to bring to the table. So where that company itself, if you're up against a luxury brand itself, I would say depending on your market, and Miami RE/MAX is not the largest. But what I think about RE/MAX itself is we can go to luxury and we can also go down to the $300,000 without a problem. And there's only a couple companies in Miami who could really do that. I think that to the consumer, what I would say, depending on your market, is that I'll treat this house as if it's my only, where that luxury brand may have 100 homes. Yours is going to be very specific, and I'm going to take care of it as if it's my only one. And of course, that the way the market is this week, with very few listings, it will be my only one. So I think how you approach it makes a difference.
Now, would you say that if you have an opportunity to go on a listing appointment, right, that, you know, basically the only thing standing between you and success is your communication and presentation? Because I think if they weren't going to use you, they might not even allow you in the front door. Correct.
But I think the first thing that you do, Rob, is you have to ask questions. So before you ever arrive at that listing appointment, is ask questions so you know what you're up against. So for example, excuse me 1 second. And by the way, Rob, I'm happy to send you all this exciting stuff. I have this green sheet that I use, or Fozzie, I could send it to you. But my green sheet, and the reason it's green is because money is green. And when someone calls me or I talk to someone about listing, this is the form I use. And it has questions like I'll ask, where are you moving to? Because I would want a referral. What are you looking for in a real estate agent? I mean, if they say they want a total professional, I'm going to dress the part. If they want someone who's knowledgeable, I'm going to talk about the area. So you ask the consumer what they're looking for before you even get there. And I have other questions that I use to qualify that seller. So I am prepared for that appointment. If they say they want someone who's a numbers guy, well, I'm going to have to wear my glasses and my pocket protector and what have you, and go in there that way. remember guys, you are all have to play a part and a role. And to me, I always say the word showtime before I walk in the door. So showtime, I knock on the door, take a step back. I don't care if the dog died that morning, your spouse yelled at you, it doesn't matter. It is showtime when you have to go in that door for that listing appointment. So whatever it is, it's all about that seller, that consumer, your future, hopefully, client, and it's build that relationship with them.
I often tell my agents that, that I'm working with, when they go to the listing appointment, they have to be an actor. You have to almost be an actor, and like you said, it's showtime.
Showtime.
Got to put your game on.
Game face on, smile on, doesn't matter. You go for it.
So Anthony, I want to give you a shout out. We have 102. This is like the biggest mastermind we've had in probably 6 months or more.
Yeah.
So you're a hot item. And if you speak like Ron, if you could just say who you are and which office you're from, just because Anthony's not familiar. So Ron Piccolo, Ron.
Yeah, I'm with Remax Select. I mentioned before a few times, Anthony.
Yes, sir.
But yes, I'm with Remax Select, and happy to be with them.
Pleasure. Yeah, you're just up the road.
So
Anthony,
go ahead.
I have 2 questions if I can. Robert Garver, manager of Pinebrook in New Jersey. One, I get from a lot of my agents about how they want to obviously increase their average sale price. And so how would you tell an agent who's got an average sale price of, let's say, $400,000 and would like to be doing $1 million business? What would you say to them?
Go where the money is. That is easy as can be. You go where the money is. So for example, if there's a yacht show, I mean, I'm assuming you're landlocked, but let's say there's a nice big event, go to where the money is. Be involved where there is money. If you play tennis, I play tennis at my country club. Be a member of a country club and go, once again, where the money is. And you can certainly farm any geographic area. Just become knowledgeable within that area, but go where the money is.
All right, and my second question, that's a great answer, by the way.
Now,
Thank my second,
Robert,
Robert, I'm going to mute everybody, and then if you can just unmute yourself, Anthony and Robert.
Thank you, Mom.
well,
There you go. You just unmute yourself.
okay, so my second question is this. You talked about how you can go anywhere from $300,000 listings to $3 million listings. Do you treat the listings differently? Do you have like a different way of handling the higher end listings than you do the lower end listings, or is everybody the same?
I have to tell you, even I get a little bit nervous at a higher price tag. So being honest, I think that is the case. I think when it's a 500,000, I can go with flip flops. I don't dress any different because today I happen to be wearing jeans because I'm flying out of Miami today. But I'm always nice slacks and always a long sleeve shirt. So I'm always ready. So if someone calls me, I'm ready to go. I just think, I went on a listing appointment the other day for a $10 million listing. We met at the Starbucks. It was easy. I was me, and I think easy, ready to go. But I also have experience, and I've done this so many times. And I think that for most of you guys, I have the luxury of been doing this for so long that I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable with what I'm saying. I don't have scripts. My scripts are memorized, and I'll spit out the same thing that I've been doing basically for 30 something years. Even my green sheet is archaic and has information on here from 20 years ago, but it's good luck for me. So I don't change it. It's what I've used, makes me happy. I do adapt, and you must adapt to your situation.
So Anthony,
I'm not someone who likes to be on camera, but I'll do it. Yeah.
So Anthony, does the process of a listing opportunity or appointment, is that similar most of the time, or does it get derailed based on the client?
I don't understand the question.
So like when you go in for a listing opportunity, right? Like gone out with a lot of our team, and it's almost always the same. Like, I walk through the house, and I'm doing that to build rapport. When I sit down, I ask the same questions.
Yes.
If they try to take me off my game, I'll say, wait a moment, can I get back to that a little bit later? Because I'm not like an arrogant, overbearing person, but I'm a very subtle controller of the whole process. Like, would you say that when you go on that presentation with these high-end people with massive egos, that they try to take control of the process? And do you have a way of bringing that back so that it's very similar every time?
So the answer is, once again, I go back to what they were looking for, and you discover what it is, who is the power player, if there's a couple, who has control. Even, Rob, to the point of where we sit at a table is controlled. I control that also. So I sometimes will take the head of the table, which is power, and I'll want both of them on one side. So if they're both on different sides, my head would be going like this, where if they're on the same side, I'll be able to bobble head up and down. So positioning on a table, walking through the house, everything is controlled, but I will refer back to the questions that I asked, what they're looking for. If they need me to be in control, and if they're looking for someone who can take control over, I'll take it over, and I'll put out the pen for them to take and let them sign away. So
I have a question, Rob. Anthony, Bruce Oliver, mortgage lender up here with the group. So have you found anything that surprised you on the higher end that you would have thought not have been there? Is there less of something that maybe isn't in a different, sector of business that surprised you? Like, is it easy? Like on my side, on the lending side, there are some things they just don't want to aggravate. I mean, is there things that are easier that was a surprise or no in that market?
I think that one thing that makes it easier is the use of attorneys. For a higher end, there's almost always an attorney involved. In fact, that is also a good segue, by the way, where you should be looking for business is through attorneys. Attorneys can, bankruptcy, divorce, every type of attorney out there may have business that can refer you to. So you got to be marketing yourself to those folks. But as far as the sale, I think they're easygoing also. And if you build that rapport with them and maintain professionalism. I mean, even if I go on a listing appointment with a very good friend, I do not kiss them hello. I will shake their hand. Even on a listing appointment, I keep it as professional as possible because I want to maintain that aspect. At closing, I'll kiss them and be very happy.
So Anthony, I have a question a little different.
So Maria, I had to mute everybody again. So if you can unmute yourself.
I'm Maria. I'm the managing broker of Tinton Falls, helping Rob out with a couple of other offices. So one of the things that I'm always leery about, and I know what my agents go through if they are showing $2.5–3 million property, which is quite substantial. The listing broker is looking for proof of, financials before they even show the house. Is that normal down there as well? Well, how do you approach?
It's starting to be more normal. I think you just got muted.
Yeah. How does that work? I mean, really,
Okay.
Is that appropriate?
The answer is yes, primarily because I'm a listing agent.
Mm-hmm.
So because I'm a listing agent, yes, it's appropriate because whatever, as a listing agent, that's what I would want. My time is very valuable, but I also am in the mindset, or I don't even show property anymore. So I've gone to that extent. I only had 3 buyer controlled sales all of last year that I actually got in the car, but I had to. So, and one of them was my daughter. So, good referral. Very difficult client though. Point is, I think that people don't want to waste their time. And the longer that you're around in the business, that a lot of listing agents, if I know them, I'm not going to require that from them. But you have to admit that there's so many agents who just got their license yesterday. They don't know what they're doing, and they're driving around folks who aren't qualified.
Right.
So first of all, you put it on your seller. You do not say that I required, you say my seller's requiring.
Right.
So that's the first thing, that you put it off to someone else. The seller's requiring a proof of funds. It is to minimize the showings, and obviously COVID and all that, different things that you would want to restrict some, but even that is opening up a lot. There's just time savings. And I also find that one of the reasons that some listing agents are doing it is that they're trying to double dip and prevent other agents because some clients are not going to want to reveal their information. So it's an interesting dilemma for both sides.
So I'm going to ask if anybody has questions and you're too shy to ask, if you could put them in the chat. And if Robert Garver, if you could just monitor that, and just when we get to a few good ones, we'll present them to Anthony. I'm going to ask you, Anthony, what's what are high-end sellers looking for? Like, if you're to say, hey, these are the 3 things that a high-end seller is looking for, and they're going to press you on it.
Professionalism, experience, knowledge, and a little negotiation skills for sure. That's 4, but definitely you have to, I don't think you don't have to walk in with a Rolex on your arm. You don't have to drive up in a Bentley to sell luxury. But I do think that you have to carry yourself in a way that would fit the part also, and be down to earth. I don't think you don't.
Can you repeat those 4 things? I'm going to just jot them down. You said professionalism, negotiation.
Oh, I hope I can come up with them again. Professionalism, experience, knowledge,
and negotiation skills.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So let's talk about that for a second. So first of all, let's talk about knowledge. Every one of you guys, if you want to do luxury, you must learn everything about luxury. So you have to go to like a home show. You need to know about granite and quartz and all the differences. In Miami, you need to know the differences between a queen palm and a royal palm. You need to know plants, and because they have they have a plant called the birds of paradise, which Ron will know what that is, and maybe they have it up north, but it's a higher price tag plant. You need to know what these items are. And when you're walking through the house, they know what it is. Have a general idea of art. You don't have to be an art connoisseur, but you have to know, oh, well, that's a Picasso. You need to know what it is while you're walking through. You have to be able to talk it a little bit. Learn some things that they would be interested in so you can relate. And certainly when you see it in their house, you can make that comment, how nice it is. Woods, very important too. Everything about the house or houses in general, you need to know the fine things. So that was knowledge. Experience, that comes from just selling and going around and doing and learning and having mentors, and even learning from this. And the professionalism, you have to bring that yourself. I mean, don't work on your car in the morning and then show up. They're going to see the grease under your nails. So
there's books on luxury homes. Sorry.
It's okay. Do you work also with business managers?
In
Like
what respect?
Sports field or entertainment?
I do not, but there are agents that I know that do. But as far as, no. So, but are you talking more of a title? I mean, would I? The answer is I'd do anything.
Colleen,
Well, somebody that for a very high net worth client, like an entertainer or a sports figure, a lot of them, their transactions go through their business manager.
That is correct. And that also goes to the same, or they go through their attorneys, which goes one and the same. I mean, I think every area, Miami is a huge area, yes. Huge. From the north to
Sorry,
south.
I'm from Parkland.
It takes over an hour to get from one end to the other, so or more. So understanding your geographic area is also very important. But there's basically no area in Miami that I don't think I could go without being able to talk it out, and the consumer thinks that I know what I'm talking about. But that is also from practice, and you guys, in every given area, you'll have a marketplace and just general knowledge. We have an area called Coral Gables here in Miami. I mean, it's kind of famous. But Coral Gables has an old style home built in the 1920s. It's called Old Spanish. I know all about old Spanish homes. You have to be able to talk to your neighborhood or whatever area you go into. The seller knows about it, so you have to know about it.
So, Rob, there's a question in the chat for Anthony. You know, what are some of the objections that you come across, and how do you overcome them?
I think objections come in every different manner. If it's a seller or buyer, I think it would depend on what the issue would be. I think right now, if you're working with a buyer, an objection would be that the price is too high. And my answer would be, well, in 6 months, it's going to be even higher. So understand, and this is where someone like a Bruce would come into play, understanding that if they buy a house today at $500,000 and 3%, I'm just using numbers, it's, if the interest rates go to 6%, which they're not tomorrow, but that's a $250,000 house. It's the same payment, guys. So being able to educate your client and explain the differences to them, and understand that. And I'll give you another little idea. If they're going for 90% financing and they have incredible credit, and the only reason they're going for 90% financing is because they have let's say they're buying a $400,000 house. They have $40,000 that they want to put down. But Bruce says that they have great credit. They could do 95%, take that $20,000 and say, when you make that offer, that will pay up to $20,000 above appraisal. You put yourself in a better position. There's no difference at the end of the day. They're still putting out 40%. It's just that they're getting the house that they want. So whatever the scenario would be, I need a scenario, and then I have to overcome it. So you just have to bring it to me, and I'll overcome that objection. Just time and how you want to do it. You can do commission objections all the time. You go on that listing appointment, and they're going to want to negotiate your commission. You have to have a value that you can bring and explain that to them. Yes, I typically still do 6%, but I have done an occasional 5%, but I don't go less than that. 5% I have done. Miami's trending a lot towards 5% listing agreements, but I still do 6%. I just listed a house 3 days ago, 6%. And by the way, this is controversial. I do 6%, but I do 3.5% to me, 2.5% to the selling agent. And that's not going to go over well. Rob, you'll probably lose a few people from the Zoom right now because they're going to be mad at me. But that is a choice that I've made in my business. And it's a 17% increase in my income.
Bottom line.
Bottom line.
Now, let me ask you, how do you present positioning it price-wise for a home? And let's go luxury end, and then let's talk about if it's different on your $400,000 home.
Okay, so positioning of homes, that's a great question. So I used to always list properties at $999,983. The 983 was my good luck numbers. That is gone. Do not price at 995, whatever, 990, out the window. That list price needs to be $1 million, guys. And the reason why that needs to be that way, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is because the consumer is going to be searching on the internet. They're going to put a range from 800 to $1 million, and your house falls in. But if you're listed at 999, if they search from $1 million to $1.2 million, you're not there. So everything has to be a strategy. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller and you guys, strategy is pricing and explaining that to the consumer, that your pricing is a strategy and where you place it on the market itself. So I would do the same at for $400,000 or $1 million to $1 million house, $2 million. It's would be priced at $2 million.
So Anthony, when I've gone out with agents on listing conversations or listing opportunities. I've always found previously that a seller always has a mindset of, if my house is worth $1 million, I want to list it for $1,050,000 or $1,001,000 and have room to negotiate down. And when I came in extremely prepared to support the value, like, here's where I think you should list it, the sellers were not rational. So what I did is I kind of studied human behavior, and I said, look, we want to give people choices. They don't want to be told what to do. So we try to paint different scenarios. So I disassociate. If you've ever been on a listing opportunity or a conversation with me, I disassociate myself with ownership of a price. I would just say, Anthony, based upon the recent sales, looking at square footage, location, condition, your market would likely appraise for $1.2 million. We're going to call that the market value. We're going to talk about how you want to position your home if we decide to work together. And I always use the term if we decide to work together, because I don't want them to think like, here I am doing this presentation, at the end you're gonna give me thumbs up or thumbs down. I want you to think I might decide that we're not a good fit, right? And then I'll introduce another concept, which is, hey, Anthony, we can try to price your house to win the lottery. That $1.2 million, we could try to price that $1.3 million, or why not $1.5 million? We can overprice it and have room to negotiate down. That's a second way to price it. And the third way, and this is important, I always say my more savvy clients are opting to price it auction style, where we go 3 to 8% below the market. And we find that when we do that, Anthony, we get an abundance of qualified buyers that are able to perform bidding against each other. Now, what do you think would happen if we have more eyeballs and more traffic, more qualified traffic looking at your house, Anthony? What do you think would happen?
It's going to go crazy.
You're going to get a better price, right? So,
Yes.
And I learned this from Chet Holmes, who talked about like the buying psychology of people. And he used an analogy of when he used to work in a restaurant. Nobody buys the $18 bottle of wine. Nobody buys the $300 bottle of wine. If you had a $42 bottle of wine, that's going to sell all day long, because everybody wants to be in the middle. So by adding that auction style and lottery style, the middle is the market price, which is what most agents want. I found that most agents go out there, they have a mono price, right? This is where it can sell. I'm the agent, I'm the expert, right? And the seller's always wanting to go for more. And what you normally do is, I say it should be $1 million. Seller thinks it's $1,150,000, and you land at $1,075,000, and you're still overpriced.
I would tell you that I have a slightly different approach. First of all, I ask the seller what they want to ask for. After I do all the comps, I ask the seller, what do you want to ask for the house? Because if I tell them $1.2 million and the house is worth $1 million, and they come and say, well, we want to ask $1 million. And then I say, well, then instead of asking $1.2 million, let's do $1.1 million. I want to hear what they have to say after I do the comps, and then I can direct. I then do give them 3 choices. I do 3 choices. Let's say here's an objection. The seller says, well, you tell me what the house is worth. And I'm going to say, I'm going to give you 3 choices of what we should ask for the house. And let's say I throw out $1 million. I will listen and for their reaction. If they say, oh my God, that's too little. And then I'll say, well, that is the fire sale. That's the low price. That's the threshold. And then I'll build up from there. So I'll listen to what they say. If they say, oh my God, $1 million would be fantastic, then I go the other direction. So it just depends on the value of what I think the house is worth. But I want to hear what the seller has to say. I don't want to give away everything. I want them to.
That's a fantastic pivot. Yeah. And if they think, wow, could I really get $1 million? Well, that's the high end.
Right. So,
and what other, are there any questions that you're like, oh God, I hate when I get this question?
I like everything. I'm happy as can be. I'm happy at a listing appointment. It really, at this point too, I've heard everything. I've seen everything. I still enjoy it. And that's the key. I still go in with a smile. I still enjoy listing appointments. That I've not given up, and I'm not planning on giving up listing appointments. Buyers, I can give up. I just don't have the time as much.
So of the 45 plus or minus $1 million listings that your team did, how many of them were you actually going out there and securing them versus team members?
Well, so 2 of my sales last year were buyers. My 2 big sales were buyers. So I went. I could be bought. But most of the listings are me. I do run a team. I have I think 6 of us on the team who actually sell and list and what have you. But I'm the main guy who lists. I just expanded. I now do the keys. So I have I just listed a house last week for 2,250,000 was the list price, and we just sold it within a week. But it was I listed it, but it was my team member who dealt with it because it's just an hour away. But it was me who listed it.
Question. Hi, Anthony. My name's Donna. So I'm sure the vast majority, or I would assume the vast majority of your business is referrals.
A lot of it, yes.
And so I'm wondering how much. Is it 50%? Is it 90%? And then what kind of prospecting are you doing for new business?
Well, it's a great question. I have to say that I'm continually still wanting to grow. I have not quit. I happen to have my best career year last year ever. As far as volume, it wasn't my most homes ever sold. That was actually surprisingly in 2003 was my most homes ever sold. But because the price tags are so much higher now, last year was just by far the best. I have a very nice stream of past clients. I have a very nice stream of Sphere. My Sphere really helps me. In fact, let's stop here for a second. You need to earmark 50 people on your Sphere. 50 people, your top 50, those raving fans, and you got to hit them over the head. Ask them for business. And the word is ask them for business. So ask them to be raving fans. I'm going to pick on someone. Who wants to be picked on for a second? Raise a hand. I can see a hand. I need a hand. Rob. Okay. Oh, there you go. Gigi. What's your best friend's name?
Juan.
Juan. Okay. So you go to Juan and say, hey, Juan, I need you to be a raving fan. I need you to paint your eyes black for me, like a football. And I want you to go anytime you hear someone who's thinking about selling their house, will you get their information for me and tell them how great I am? And what do you think Juan's going to say? He's going to say, absolutely. Yeah. And then you say to Juan, when I post something on Facebook or Instagram, will you not just like it? Will you put an incredible comment? What do you think Juan's going to do? If you get 50 of these great raving crazy fans to do what I'm saying, and then get them buy them a cup of coffee. But if you do this, you have 50. You have 50. You have past clients. You have some of you guys have parents. Your kids. The kids want some shoes, guys. So they gotta like your stuff. But those are what you want to go after. So I do that. I had a birthday party a few years ago, and at my birthday, I had my 50, and I asked them for business, and I had my speech, and I told them exactly what I wanted. So they do that. They refer me business. I also do geographic farming. So I mail out like postcards to my geographic farm. Something simple like this. Happy to send this also to you guys. I'm happy to send everything to you. Oh yeah.
So Anthony, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Maybe not so much you, but maybe your team. What Remax technology do you or they use? Do they use the First app with their spheres that they keep in contact with? Is there any Remax technology that you guys use for your luxury brand?
And the answer is yes, but for some reason I just got thrown out. I can't even see you. Hold on one second. Wow, hold on. I got to figure out how to get back.
I see you. I see
We
here-
see you. We hear you.
You see me, but I don't see. Give me 1 second to figure out where y'all went.
Okay.
Oh boy. Nope. Oh boy.
Sounds like you need a member of your team in there, Anthony.
I do. Hey, Francis. I was just watching and then I got thrown out. I don't know what.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Hi, you don't know what I'm doing? I don't know what I'm doing. How do I get it back?
Where's the original thing? What are you
Right
doing?
here.
You gotta find where the link was.
No, but it's a ring.
I don't know how you got the original link. Where's the link? Where's the original link?
It has to be.
He's
wait.
still connected,
Oh,
by
found
the
it,
way.
I found it.
There you
Oh,
are.
I don't need you. Okay, by the way, I need Francis. Trust me, I need Francis.
All
Okay.
right, so this brings us back to the technology here.
Yes.
So what are you or your team members using to market, to prospect, whatever it is? Is it megaphone? Is it, the first step? What is it that you guys are using that Remax has for all our wonderful agents?
Okay, actually, by the way, I haven't done Remax first. It's a must. I'm just haven't done it. I'm really bad. I think it's still, you get 2 free months.
Yep, 60 days.
And I have to tell you, it works so well. One of the agents in this company put my name in it and asked me, was I thinking my house? And the answer is yes, I want to sell my house. My wife doesn't, but I want to. So it actually works using Remax first. Consider doing it. And at minimum, Booge itself, you may not like the system itself, but you must sign up and sign in because it is a lead generator. You get leads. I mean, they may not be great, but all you need is one good one a year. It is there. Definitely sign on and turn it on at a minimum.
Do you use megaphone?
I do not, but after.
Well, that's AdWords.
I don't extend it.
Okay.
I do not, because also listings aren't lasting long enough to have it. But being prepared to know that within another 6 months to a year, that won't be the case. I mean, Miami is out of control with things selling. We've had the same amount of sales basically that we always have, but instead of taking 30 days, they sell in 3 still.
So Anthony, I have a question. I have, we might get some echo here. I have Fran Bergen, an agent and the former owner of our Franklin Lakes office, has a $5.2 million listing that she's frustrated with. And, Christies is the bigger player in that market. Fran, what is your question for Anthony?
How to overcome the idea that Christies is not the only realty to call in my town?
It's feeding back, Rob.
So it's how do you overcome the belief that Christies is the only luxury player in the town?
I think that first of all, what you could do if you really had to is show them that Christie's agents don't even sell their own listings, which is you're able to do. You're able to pull up the MLS and show who's actually showing it. What you need to be concentrating on is your representation to the seller, that you're going to work for the seller to negotiate, to market it, and be their representative. And that's really, I think, where you have to hone in on. Not that Christie's or whatever that company is the major player.
And Fran,
if you have a good,
you have that listing
marketed
and
correctly,
it's not
and
moving,
done
correct?
well, it's gonna sell and show.
I have a question, Anthony. What percentage, what would you say the biggest category in your sphere of influence is? Is it former clients? Is it other business professionals? What's the biggest, if you had I noticed 50, but just off the top of your head, what is that sphere of influence look like? What do those top 50 people look like?
They look great to me. Dollar signs. No. So no.
Okay.
I think I do have professionals who refer me. A couple of attorneys refer me business. I have past clients. I mean, probably one of the worst people to get me business is my wife. Yep. I don't know why, but she's like one of the worst. Where my best friends are crazy and lunatics. And one of them wears my t-shirt everywhere.
I think I know what you're saying. I'm going to repeat the question to him so we can get back on the
they'll get me business.
here. All right.
Like bring it to me. And I think also those past clients, following up with them when they're happy, you ask them for business. I always ask for referrals. By the way, you need to ask for referrals 3 times when you list the property, when it goes pending, and at closing. Minimum 3 times to ask for a referral. And don't miss those opportunities to ask for that referral. But past clients are also really, really, really good. And selling properties multiple times to the same client over time. Even now, if a buyer comes in becomes a buyer, one of my teammates will do it, and they're happy.
So Anthony, do you get properties that are kind of like in a soft spot, and how do you address that? I have Fran Bergen is having issues with her audio, but she has a listing in Franklin Lakes for 5.2 or 5.4 million, and the market's really not there. There was, one sale at 6 million of a completely renovated property, and then the trading point there is probably the 2.5 to 3 million range. So she's trying to figure out how to create demand for that. And I think that kind of segues into Gigi has an opportunity for somebody in the 10+ million range. And I'm sure that there's, in New Jersey, like try to find a comp for over 10 million is like negligible. Okay. So in these high end markets where there's really there's not enough activity to establish a market, how do you console the seller, or how do you reposition a home to move it?
Well, the first thing I heard was the list price of 5.2. It should be 5 million. That's the easiest thing I can tell you right now. When you were saying to me prices, you said 2 million, 3 million, 10 million. You didn't say 5.2 or 9.8. That 5 million number is a huge threshold that people are going to search for. That at if they're searching up to 5 million, that 5.2 is not seen. You got to think about how the consumer is looking at this home. And then on top of that, once it's reduced or changed to 5 million, you have to have killer photos. The photography on something like that has to be beyond amazing. Your video has to be exquisite. And by the way, when you do that video, you should do 2 videos, one for the house and the MLS and stuff like that, and one for you that you can use on your Instagram and Facebook. Once you have a photographer out there or a videographer, you should make your own video, like welcome to 101 Orange Street. Then come on inside, something like that, and do a video while you have someone there. Double dip as far as time-wise. But I think, Rob, the first thing is that the price has to be changed to 5 million. That putting it in every magazine, the cover of Wall Street Journal is not going to do it. Nice, good photography and pricing, and have a strategy of where it belongs. And make sure that the commission being offered is something that someone would be willing to show also. And depending on the market, I tend to see that homes expire for 2 reasons, and not so much now, but let's say 2 years ago. One was the price, and one was the commission offered to another agent. If you look at expired, you'll notice that the commission is typically less.
Anthony.
Yes.
Rob, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Hi, it's Angie Perez from Remax in Westfield. My 2 questions are, one, in the Florida market, do you get a lot of sight unseen purchases?
We do have more than we used to, yeah, because of the ability to do walkthroughs, and because people weren't able to get here. We are a destination place for South America. Miami is basically the center point of South America. If they're going to come into the US, they come to Miami. Also, the Caribbean comes to Miami, and Europe likes to come to Miami also. So in these last 2 years, especially, people couldn't get out of their countries and weren't allowed in. And for different reasons, Florida is a destination state. One, we have no state income tax. So if someone wants to buy something in the United States, there's only, I think, 6 states that have no state income tax. And Florida is one of those 6, I think it is. So okay, as a destination, it's a value.
Okay.
So you have a follow-up, Angie?
Yeah, I wanted to know, like, what adjustments did he make during COVID? And he started to, I guess, hint towards that, like, I guess, more towards the video marketing that he was just talking about with Fran. Like, what other changes did you make that you thought were smart changes due to COVID?
I think first of all, every house, no matter what the price tag is, even if I'm going to sell it in 3 days, I still do what's called Matterport or 3D rendering, like a video. I still do it no matter what, even if it sells the first day on the market. If anything, the consumer is going to see that I did it and it's available to them. So even if I sell it in 3 days, it has a life and someone will see it down the road. So even if you sold it before it goes on the market, you should put that on. And that is one thing I learned that I have to do, and not save $250, $300 or whatever it is.
Is that at all price points?
All price points, I do it. Every price. I get a listing, no matter what it is, I do the Matterport. I actually now own my own, and one of my assistants does it. So that is a must. I also think that we still are doing staggered showings, where I used to do all showings at the same time, but so people would see each other. But we're doing staggered because our sellers still, for the most part, a lot of them do not want so many people traipsing into their house. And we also try to limit the amount of people too. A lot, especially a higher price tag. The sellers do not want 100 people walking through their house.
So historically, Anthony, out of 45 million plus listings, and maybe exempt this market, like what percentage of those don't sell? Like
right now, everything.
No. Before 2020, like pre-COVID, if you took 50 listings, what percentage of them don't sell, and what would the main reason be? And then I have a third question. Did you have a sense of that before you introduced it to the market most of the time?
And the answer is 100% yes. I knew if I listed something overpriced that I would that it may not sell. Also, depending on, for example, I listed a house 5 years ago, and the sellers wanted $450,000. The house is worth $300,000. So I listed it for 2 years. Then 2 years later, the price still hadn't gotten to there. I listed it for another year. Eventually, it got to the price, and I did sell it, and the seller moved. So I think you have to figure it out what you want to do. A sign in my farm, I want it no matter what. I want that sign. It kills me if someone else's sign is in my farm. So it's all about choice. But one thing I will tell you is after the listing appointment, one thing I also learned is you always follow up with your seller. This is what we discussed. That if let's say we listed for 600,000, I think it should have been listed for 500. I will put in writing that our discussion was that we would do 6 million, but we talked about a reduction at this point, and that my recommendation was 5 million. So they can be mad as they want, but the one that they're gonna be mad at is themselves. You put it in writing, because once you legitimize it by putting your sign up, basically, that's what they remember: $6 million or 600,000.
Right. You then own that price, right?
You have to some extent.
So I'm going to, and Maria Delaferri, is Amy Roan quit on with us today or no?
I looked for her. I don't believe so. There's some health issues in the house.
I'm going to, so if Amy's not here, Anthony, I want to just share with you this example, and I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly the whole way through, and I want your take on it. Amy gets a listing opportunity for a property in, it was Brielle, right, Maria?
Rumson.
No, the one that she got.
Oh yes, the one in Brielle, yes.
So she gets a listing opportunity where somebody has not referred to her. I think just saw her review on Zillow. 2 million plus house. The guy thinks it's worth 3 million. Comes down to the house in his Lamborghini or Ferrari, ego larger than life. And right. He's like, I need to get 3 million for this. And Amy's like, look, Mr. CEO, I just want to tell you, like, this is where the market is. And if we overprice it, you're going to give control of the process to the buyers, because you're not going to have competitive bidding. If you want to keep control of the process, we need to make sure that we get it in the right pricing point, right? And the guy was frustrated. He sped off, and Amy's like, Rob, you know what? She called me after the listing. Like, I blew it, but I feel good about it, right? And 3 days later, the gentleman calls and says, Amy, I want to list with you. Right? Now, ultimately, the story ends that he never sold and he kind of pulled it off the market. but it was,
Well, he did get a full price offer.
oh no, he did. Yeah. But I mean, like, but he chose not to sell it.
Right.
But so full disclosure, Amy did not make that commission, but you know, the process was, you know, Amy stuck to her convictions and got out of her comfort zone. And she used language like, and we practiced this beforehand, you know, Maria, if you choose to price it like that, you're going to give control of the process to all the buyers. And I think, you know, knowing you want to have more control and be able to drive the price up instead of negotiate down. And I think those words haunted him. And, you know, I think we don't do that enough, you know, and this was an extreme example of where the guy sped off and, you know, she's like, you know what, I don't want to have an overpriced listing, even in a hot market. And the piece came back to him. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on, you know, challenging some of the bullies.
I think you have to challenge. In fact, you have to be yourself. You have to be able to sleep at night. That's my rule. I have to go to sleep and feel comfortable with what I said and what I did. I also think that one add to it is that overpriced listing helps other agents sell their properties at say, look, you can get this house for $7 million or whatever, or this one for $5 million. It's the same property, basically. They're going to use Mr. and Mrs. Seller. They're going to use your house to sell other properties. But I also think in an appreciating market, I mean, in a market a few years ago, you know, the saying goes, it's best to be the firstborn, second spouse, third real estate agent. I don't know if anyone has ever heard that saying, but the first and second agents are the ones who's fought with the seller, and by the time they get to you, they're ready to sell their house. Right. So, but in the market that we're in today, I think you do have to adjust that the prices are out of control, in my opinion. I wouldn't pay anything for what I'm selling.
Rob,
but I also know that if I overprice a little bit, depending on what it is, it's going to sell. And the luxury market here is way out of control. You can overprice things easily $1 million, and someone's going to come and buy it possibly. And remember, the list price is just a mark. And when it gets to the ultra luxury, I'll tell you, they just put it out there. You just don't know who's going to bite at it. And Miami definitely has some ultra luxury. I mean, having this ton of $50 million, $40 million places. There's even $40 million condos. Gorgeous views, by the way.
So
Anthony, do you do open houses for luxury?
The answer is I don't do open houses, but team members do. And the answer is yes. So I do not do open houses any longer. I don't do a lot of things that I used to do, but I don't have to. I speak specifically to the seller. An open house, I still don't think is going to sell their house. But if the seller wants it, and by the way, it goes back to, I'm not going to say I want to do it, but if the seller says that they want it, even on a listing appointment, oh, then I'm all in. Oh, open houses, then we're doing it. It's whatever the seller says that they want. And then I have a team member who would be more than happy to do it. And if you don't have a team, there's an agent in the office next door to you who would be happy to do it, I'm sure, if you're not available that weekend. So think about how you can play your business itself.
And
Rob, there are several questions in the chat that I think need to be talked about.
I see one. Will you take a luxury listing for 3 months? Oh, yeah.
So Anthony,
it's gonna sell.
Anthony, some people might have to drop off. Are you comfortable sharing your contact info with them? And Robert, can you just type it in the chat if you're okay?
Oh, of course.
So what's the best way to reach
that.
you? You'll put it in the chat?
Okay. Well, they can follow me on Instagram. Always some exciting stuff.
Anthony, how many times do you mail to your farm area?
I used to do it every month. I'm now quarterly, basically. So because they've received myself forever, I mean, I'm really very well known in my farm areas.
How many houses do you have in your farm?
Right now, well, I have 3 farm areas. So one of them I have 2. Actually, the second one's coming. Another one, 0. And my main one, I just listed my second house right now.
No, I mean total total homes that you market yourself?
Oh, 15,000.
Wow, okay.
So I have a quick question. This is Marcos.
We're in business.
Hello.
Hi, Marcos.
Hi. Quick question. So besides you put it in the MLS, do you do any other marketing campaigns?
I do, but unfortunately, we don't really have the time. It doesn't. It sells so fast, so it's not like you can put it into a magazine or anything like that. I do make brochures for all my stuff, so I save it for another thing. I do, like I mentioned, I do photos for everything, and I do my Matterport or my 3D rendering. And with that, I use Instagram and Facebook. We haven't even had the time to push it even more because things just sell too quickly. So,
Marcos, anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right, Robert, can you read some of the questions? And for those of you who are signing off, I just want to thank Anthony for his candor, and we'll stay on a little bit longer to ask some questions if you can, Anthony. Sure.
So one of them is, what is your view on the market's direction here in South Florida? Do you expect a crash to happen or just a leveling off?
I don't see a crash at all in Miami. And I think other places may have it. I think the Northeast is feeding us. A lot of buyers are coming down here from the Northeast. I think that South America has just opened up again so that they can come back into Miami. I think that our low interest rates are fueling our fire. I think as I mentioned, not having a state income tax is a huge benefit. I think we don't have the homes for affordable homes to support everything. That's a problem everywhere. But I think on a whole, unlike other states, like for example, California had a negative year that they lost people. So, but their state, how it's set up for taxes is very different than Florida. Florida, Texas, and Tennessee are the three top destination states. All three have no state income tax. And the folks from the north, I mean, it's 78 degrees. I could play tennis every single day of the year outside, basically. And that's the difference. And I think a lot of the folks up north have discovered that. So for the short term, our prices are still going up and will continue.
So Anthony, do you have strong referral relationships with other Remaxes? And, you know, one thing almost as good as a great listing that's going to sell is a referral where you don't do anything and the check comes to you. So how would you advise us to maybe improve our Northeast saturation to getting more of our buyer referrals down to your area?
That's a great question. There are Remax referral networks. You can just type it in on Facebook. Different Remax referral networks that you should apply to, or that they exchange referrals to each other. And if you're in, like, I think there's like at least 3 that I have my name in for Miami. So that's one thing. 2, going to convention. I'm leaving actually today on my way. I make a stop, but I'll be at convention on Sunday. It is referral opportunity galore, as that's really what it is the opportunity of going to convention. Even convention, I'm going to share something else. I even developed my own business card for convention. This is not that exciting, but this is, if you can, I don't know if you could see the fine print. I don't know if it comes across, does it?
Yep, it does.
Okay, so, and my 30.5% referral fee system, I'm in the 305. So I'm using Miami 305 to its advantage. So my 30.5% referral fee and my little shiny thing. But I don't do things as well as I should. We all can do things better. And networking and referrals itself. I mean, this is a referral opportunity for me to meet you guys. And so you know that when you have someone in Miami, that guy Anthony, he can take care of it. He'll land that listing, and then in turn, you'll get that referral. I think that's goes together. But the referral network of Facebook is really strong. I would also tell you to go back onto your Remax account and check the photo that you have and your bio that you have in the Remax Max Center. I don't know when the last time you updated it is, but if you're using that wedding photo from 10 years ago, it's time to change it. Or update your photo and have a nice photo.
Or the balloon, or the balloon head.
Or the balloon head. I mean, you have no chance of getting referrals if you don't have a good photo and a good bio. And your bio should say something like, I'll make your clients, I'll make you very happy. Your clients will be so happy that you'll be happy, or, you know, change that English to make it a little bit better. But you want to make sure that whoever's referring is going to be very happy with your services.
Robert, any last questions before we're all good?
Just what's the top 1 or 2 marketing strategies you use specifically for luxury homes?
To land it would be, I think, 1 is quality. Everything you do has to be quality. I have one more thing I do. Sorry, Rob, I'm a novice at this. This is my first time doing this on Zoom. So I actually also have this. I put together a book. Thank you. I have a book that I have of everything I do about selling a house, and it's my book. And this is for luxury and landing a listing appointment with my team. Talks about Children's Miracle Network, everything. We probably could do a whole seminar on this. I go through each page, how I work it and do it. I even talk about my Matterport, but this is my book. I'm happy to share this also. Like I said, I'll share everything.
Would that be something that would be akin to a pre-listing packet? Or
yes, this is part of it. This could be used also. I usually use it on the listing appointment.
And Anthony,
what I leave.
Anthony, I like the fact that you said that you also get these delivered to the seller before the appointment.
And hold on, I have them in a black envelope also.
Okay.
Black envelope, because if it's in white envelope, people throw things away. But if it looks like an invitation, they're opening it. So think about that.
So you have it hand delivered before the appointment?
I sometimes have it mailed, but I have the luxury of having 2 runners or 2 guys who just do everything for me.
Okay.
I mean, it's really one of the best things in the world for me. And by the way, for those who are about to have an assistant, do it. And those who are about to have expand your team, do it. It's the best thing I've ever done. Is every time I did something new, I've only increased my business. So don't be afraid, and you're certainly welcome to send me an email or what have you. I will respond and give you ideas.
So Anthony, I'm getting some private.
Definitely do it. Take that jump.
Anthony, we're running out of time. We're getting some private messages. I got some bad news for you. They want you to come back again for another time in the future after we get to digest this.
How about you fly me up there?
There you go.
Not so cold.
So, Anthony, can I ask just one last question, because it's important, because I know you do a lot and you have a team. Tell me just, and you can end the call with this, how do you balance everything out? How do you start morning? How do you end night?
Okay. First of all, great question. I am up early, 5:30, 6 at the latest. I have a routine that I go through every day. Typically 3 days a week I work out. Guys, you got to work out. You got to do your mind. If you do I love myself stuff, do it. I don't, but you should do something in the morning, just a little something. But I work throughout the day, but I also know, and I set goals for myself of what I want to do with my life. And I think that is really important. But I have a schedule. I schedule everything on my phone. Everything is put in there. Listing appointments, calls, whatever I'm going to do, it's in my phone, ready to go. And I stay on my track throughout the day.
So,
and then, you know what? When I go to sleep, my phone is in the bathroom, not next to me. So I put that phone away. Nothing at 10 o'clock matters anymore.
And it seems like you also enjoy what you do because you're confident in the way that the process works. And that's something that I admire about, you know, getting to know you. And although you're so busy, you also have time to do the things, the small things that really matter. You know, like, you know, you could have easily not shown up for our grand opening, but you made that time and you came there on a sweltering day and we all sweated outside by that tent. So I can't thank you enough. And we're definitely going to take you up on that invite to come up here in New Jersey and share some information with us. And hopefully we can give you a few New Jersey tips here that are not rude and obnoxious. So
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Anthony. You're wonderful.
Thank you, everybody.
have
Thank
a
you,
great-
Anthony.
Have a great
Thank
weekend.
you.
I'll see you at R4.
Yes.
Bye-bye.